all! Hello, welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan. I thought we'd do a little stream today. In fact, guys, I thought I actually want to do some slightly more regular streams. We're really ramping up till the to the deadline. We've got 8 days to go now, which is very, very exciting indeed. So basically, we are going to be doing streams. I don't want to say every single day, but we're going to be doing them, I would say, most days between now and the and deadline. We're going to try and do 6 p.m. UK time most days between now and deadline day. So hopefully we can rate lots of teams. I know you guys are very keen to get your teams rated, so we'll try and do as many as we can. We're not going to be able to do all of them every day, but hopefully over the course of the next week, we should be able to cover a decent amount of your teams. We're also going to be doing a giveaway today, so that's going to be a little something, and we'll start the giveaway today, and we'll probably end up giving away the prizes tomorrow in another stream. But today we will we'll gather, we'll see if anyone's interested in the giveaway, and we'll do it. And they're basically going to be for Fantasy Football Fest tickets. So I'll go through that very, very quickly right now. I think that's the sensible thing to do. So let's quickly switch it over to this lovely website. So this is Fantasy Football Fest. You guys may have heard me speak about it a little bit before. It's basically an event where lots of fantasy football managers come together and we all have a great time. It's in London, in Waterloo. So if you are in the London area next Friday from 4 p.m. until midnight, I believe, that's going to be where I'm going to be, is where a lot of other top FPL managers are all going to be in the same place. So it's a great way on deadline day, as we build towards deadline. I know a lot of people just like to have go look at live streams or look at videos, but in this situation, you can literally go up and ask your favorite content creator, what do you think about my team? Like, you could literally go up to them and do that. So yeah, it's kind of really cool that you have that opportunity. I love it. There'll be 300 plus people going already. I'm sure there'll be a few more people booking in their tickets over the next week as well. So if you would like to go, I'm giving away 6 tickets for absolutely for free. You don't have to do anything, really. All you have to do is reply to a tweet and tell me that you want to go. So I'm going to put the tweet out now on my Twitter. That's posted hopefully now, and you guys can go check that out. If you would like to go, just simply go to my Twitter now. In fact, are we calling it Twitter or are we calling it X? What are we calling it these days? We'll call it Twitter for now until it kind of catches on to call it X. But yeah, if you just go to this tweet, just leave a reply saying I would like to go, or something along those lines, and yeah. We'll give you some tickets. So I might give, if you want a pair of tickets as well, that's absolutely fine. We can maybe give the tickets away in pairs as well. If you want any more information on that, click on the link there as well for more information on that. And yeah, you can come along for free if you want to. You know, you get free drink. There's going to be some comedy from Lloyd Griffith, who is obviously a reasonably famous comedian. Hopefully he's going to be doing a couple of FPL jokes in there. He was on Ted Lasso recently, if any of you guys watched Ted Lasso, and they're going to do a live Black Box podcast there as well. So it's going to be a really good time. Really, really looking forward to it, and hope to see a few of you guys there, whether you've bought your own tickets or you'd like to get one for free today or tomorrow. Then yeah, just let me know. Just reply to this tweet and I'll give you one. It's pretty much as simple as that. Right, so moving on from that, I know you guys want to talk about FPL, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Because the chat is going wild. We're going wild. Someone in the chat says, are you playing for the plane ticket as well? Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. Yeah, I could give you the ticket for free, but I can't pay for your flight. So if you are coming from abroad, then maybe that's going to be a little bit difficult. But look, there's going to be lots of people coming from all around the world. We see it every year. We see people coming from America, people coming from the Scandinavian countries, and Ireland as well. So yeah, really, really it's really, really nice to see so many people from around the world. We got a super chat from Rich SZ, so I should probably reply to Rich SZ, as it is American dollars, I see. So it'll be a Rich SZ. I have Saka, Martinelli, and Ødegaard. They all massively outscored Gabriel last year, even when Saliba was fit. Am I missing something? I don't think you're really missing anything necessarily. I think the difficulty is that those midfield slots are limited, and you can easily replace one of Saka, Martinelli, an Ødegaard with the likes of Rashford or Fernandes or a Salah or a Son or a Mitoma or a Mbumo, all of these other players who can score as well as those Arsenal midfielders. So it's not necessarily that, just pick the 3 highest scoring Arsenal players. That would be very easy if FPL was quite that simple. But it's more the fact that I think the Gabriel is a lot better than a lot of the other defenders on offer, whereas the midfielders for Arsenal, it's quite easy to find a replacement for them in your midfield. So I do think that is definitely something to consider. So, Rich, that's what I would say. I don't think there's anything wrong with tripling up on the Arsenal midfield, but you can replace those players if you want to. It's something that is possible. But thank you very much for the question, and an interesting one, definitely, to get us started off. So Max FPL says it's where is it in London? It's in Waterloo. So, if you'd like to come along, just let me know. Reply to this tweet. I can see a few of you guys have replied already, and we'll see. We'll see if we can give some away. We'll give them away tomorrow. But anyway, let's have a look at some of these teams, because obviously I've asked you guys to submit your teams already. In this tweet, some of you guys would have seen this tweet already. There's over 300 of you who have replied. I've loaded a couple of them up in the Fantasy Football Hub My Team tool so far. So we're going to have a look at a couple of them on there, and then we'll just have a look at some random ones just as screenshots as well. And don't forget, guys, if you still want to submit your team, you'd like to see it rated today, just leave a reply to this tweet that you see on screen there. So yeah, you can do it over on Twitter again. But yeah, we will do one on Instagram as well soon. So if you guys are not on Twitter, I think because we're going to be doing these streams pretty much every day or most days over the next week, we'll maybe do 1 or 2 on Instagram as well for those of you guys who are boycotting x.com pretty much. But anyway, let's have a look at the first of this team. I need to go to my likes tab here. So you all can see what things I like. And this first team is from Joddy. I am Joddy. Hopefully you're in here, Joddy. If you're not, that's no problem whatsoever. But yeah, here we go. This is Joddy's team. I've loaded this up. Got a team rating of 97%. I'm just going to try and optimize it just to make sure we are, very nice and high there, and we can still make sure it is very good. I need to click some pictures of some crosswalks. I think I'm clicking. Is that all of the crosswalks? I think I got them all. So we can optimize this team just for a couple of game weeks just to make sure everything is looking good. I'm honestly, guys, I love this tool. Like, you guys, if you are not a Fantasy Football Hub member yet, like, you need to sort that out, guys. Honestly, I mean, you can, like, I put a link in the description. And obviously, I'm not going to lie, I do get a commission when you guys sign up, and it really does help support the channel. But look, I've used this website obsessively for 3 or 4 years now. I cannot get enough of it, and they're just putting in, like, literally the best tools in the FPL world. Like, 50% off right now, and you get your money back if you don't win your mini league. So there's no real reason to not give it a go. And that deal, I believe, only runs until the Game Week 1 deadline. So if you are planning on getting a Fantasy Football Hub membership, I would do it sooner rather than later. And you can do so using the link at the top of the description if you want to get that deal. But back to this team. It's looking pretty good. A 97% team rating. And today we're mostly kind of trying to look at what teams look like without Jesus and Nkunku, because I'm sure a lot of you guys know, the Twitter world, the FPL world, has gone a little bit crazy recently. It's gone a little bit mad because basically pretty much everyone had Jesus as their starting striker for the new season in their FPL teams. And then he got injured. Everyone took him out and put Nkunku in. And then Nkunku, just a few hours later, then got injured as well. So it's been a bit of a disaster in terms of forwards recently. So there's definitely a lot of discussion to be had of what we do now. I think the 3-4-3 formation is dying. It's a dying breed. But we have got an example of a 3-4-3, which I'm going to show you very briefly. But first of all, let's have a look at this team in a little bit more detail. I like this team. I like the way this has gone. I think we're fairly template at the back. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Midfield is incredibly template. I would say that these 5 midfielders at present, I feel like this is pretty much the template midfield. In fact, Onana. In fact, everything about this is template other than maybe Wissa up front. This is a really, really template team. And I feel like with the lack of forward options at the moment, this is basically a what most of you guys are going to end up with something similar to this. I think Wissa is the only real differential here, but there's 2 million in the bank for this team, so you really do have the flexibility. So I would say that if you're just like making a team as standard, let's have a look at some more forwards, because we do have a little bit of money in the bank. You can maybe afford to, if you want to spend that 2 million, you can go for an Ollie Watkins there, for example, or maybe a Darwin Nunez. Someone like that. You could go for a Newcastle striker maybe if you fancied that. So yeah, there is definitely some different options here. I would say something like this is very, very template. The one position that is up for grabs, which is what has actually made FPL a little bit interesting with the Jesus injury, with the Nkunku injury, is that final slot, that 11th spot in this team. The spot that currently has Watkins in that I've just put in now. It was Wissa before. Yeah, that's the one position where I think there's going to be an ability to go different. But aside from that, this is incredibly template, really, really template. The one criticism I do have of this team, because you can't really criticize a template team, I don't think. It's kind of just like so normal. Like there's just like, it's just standard. This is just the standard team that you go for if you don't really want to make too many decisions of your own and kind of want to work and manage your team from here on. But the one criticism I do have of this team is that Matty Cash on the bench. Firstly, because I'm not really sure when he plays. Possibly play him after Estupiñán has his bad fixtures. Obviously, from game week 4, 5, we don't really like those Brighton fixtures. And maybe Matty Cash comes in for those. But I do have a little bit of concern about Matty Cash. And I have spoken about this before on the channel, but not very much. But it does seem like Cash is a little bit of a risk at the moment, because we're not sure how we're going to see Emery line up with Aston Villa. We could see Ezri Konsa play at the right back, and kind of see like a more of a one attacking fullback, one defensive fullback, if that makes sense. We see that a lot in football at the moment. And yeah, that could very well happen. And it's either going to be Konsa at right back and Moreno when he's available at left back, Digne if not. Or we're going to see a switch on the other side where we'll see Cash play at right back. And then there'll be no Digne, there'll be no Moreno. So it's going to be often a bit of rotation there. There's going to be an attacking left back or an attacking right back. And Cash is the attacking right back. He's not always going to have that opportunity to play in that position. So I feel like he is rotation risk. If I look at I mean, you guys may have seen my video I posted this morning, but if we look at the highest predicted points among 4.5 million defenders, it is Pinnock, Henry, and Colwill, and some of these Everton guys as well seem to be the top picks. At the moment, for me, I like Colwill. So what the other change I would make to this team, I would shove in Colwill there as well, because I do think there is opportunity to play Colwill in a few of these fixtures. I think he's a good backup. Should be hopefully nailing himself into this team as well, which is pretty nice. So Colwill, particularly from game week 3, is looking quite good. We've got Luton, we've got Nottingham Forest, we've got Bournemouth there as well, we've got Fulham in game week 7, and that kind of coincides when Estupiñán starts to have the bad fixtures. You can switch in Colwill for those fixtures, and then therefore you don't really need to sell Estupiñán. So I think that actually works really well. We've got this team now up to a rating of 98%, and then you still have that forward position there up for debate, and I don't know what you guys think, but for me currently, it's Darwin Nunez, I think, is the man I'm looking at the most here, so I'm going to shove him in there as well. And this probably, I mean, this is pretty much my team. It's not exactly my team, but this is pretty close to what I'm looking to go for the start of the season. You can see it's now a 99% rated team. So this is a really, really strong team that is backed by stats. It's backed by numbers. And we only really needed to make 2 changes to it. We switched Wissa up to Darwin and we switched Cash to Colwill. And you pretty much got the team that is basically perfect for these opening fixtures. So yeah, I like this one a lot after those two changes. Let's do some more teams, and then what we'll do is we'll do a couple more teams on the AI tool, and then we'll perhaps do a poll or two and try and kind of figure out who you guys are liking as the best replacement forward for the likes of Jesus and Nkunku. And I do want to talk about Arsenal players as well today, so we're going to do all of that. But yeah, let's go to the next team, first of all, and that is going to be a team from Tommy Mav. This team from Tommy Mav. Now, this has gone for a 4-5-1 formation, which is kind of interesting. It's going a slightly different direction and has freed up a lot of money there to spend. There are some things I'm not massively keen on in this team, but there's also some things that I like. We have got 1 million in the bank, so we can play around with it a little bit. I'm just going to make sure this team is optimized. Just need to firstly click on some motorbike squares, which is pretty easy to do. But yeah, we'll just optimize it for the first few game weeks just to make sure we do see the best of this team, but I have a feeling we're still not going to quite break 90%. And as I always say, 90% is where you want to be. You want to be at 90% or more. We've got up to an 89% just by optimizing it a little bit over the first few game weeks. And yeah, I think the problem we have here is Udogie, Vinicius, and Zinchenko. Yeah. When Jesus has left, a lot of people are looking for that new Arsenal player to go for. I am not convinced Zinchenko is the answer. We're not even sure if he's going to be available for the start of the season. And if he is, maybe his minutes are going to be a little bit limited. So therefore, there is a few changes needed here. So I would, first of all, straight away remove... well, first of all, I'd probably remove Kelleher because he's a bit of a waste of a Liverpool slot, really. Unless he gets a loan move somewhere. Then he's probably not going to be too useful. But yeah, Zinchenko we need to get rid of. Let's just throw in... We've got a little bit of money in the bank. Maybe that's the last position we change. Or maybe it's the first. I don't know. All right, let's find some... let's find a better defender. So let's say... You know, I like Chilwell a lot. So I would possibly go for Chilwell there. Pretty nice. And then we need to sort out this Vinicius. Because I know he's cheap at 5 million. But... I feel like Jimenez is probably going to play. Do we agree with that one? Jimenez is probably going to play ahead of Vinicius. Or maybe there's going to be a bit of rotation there. Difficult to say. But we don't have too much money now. So we've got 5.5. Mate, at 5.5 for forwards, I think João Pedro is probably the way to go. And if you're going to do that, I probably wouldn't double up. So I'd switch Mitoma there to Mbeumo. Oh, I'm spelling that incorrectly. Oh, no. Am I spelling it that incorrectly? No, I'm not. I've just got the price wrong. Yeah, I'll switch Mbeumo in there. And suddenly, I don't know if I'd go for Udogie or not. I don't think Udogie's the worst shout, so we'll leave the rest of this team. And yeah, I think that's starting to look a little bit better. Up to 91% team rating. We've been able to keep our differentials there as well, which is very nice. It's always nice to when we're kind of trying to fix teams and change the teams, I never like to remove the differentials because I understand that they are often, if someone's gone for a player that's a little bit different, they've done it for a very good reason. So we've done this team, we've changed this team, we've taken it from an 89 team rating up to a 93% team rating with just a couple of changes. We've kept the differentials of the likes of De Bruyne and Son. We have actually still got an additional Arsenal slot there as well. So if you do work out that, you know, an Arsenal player is doing really well, you know, Martinelli or Ødegaard, for example, you have got some fairly easy switches there. You can switch out Son to them maybe, or if we see Nketiah is getting a lot of game time, you can maybe switch João Pedro to Nketiah potentially, if you can afford it. Not totally convinced by that one, but look, just throwing that one out there. And we've got some options. That De Bruyne and Haaland combo, I think, is a really nice differential. Not a lot of people going for De Bruyne, a pretty rare pick, so that's kind of interesting. Let's move on to the next team. We've fixed that one now. Looks good. And the next team is going to be from Miles Stewart. So this is Miles's team. Again, it's a good rating, but it's, for me, not quite right. One of the reasons it's not quite right to me is because of the money on the bench. And you can see that because there has been like a lack of... too much investment on the bench, we're kind of forced to have two 6.5 million midfielders, and you could easily get a Rashford in here. Now, I don't want to drive everyone to the template necessarily. That's not what I'm about. But something that I do feel quite strongly about is not having too much money on the bench, because we've got the likes of Wissa and Chilwell. Now, if you have Wissa in your team, I think Wissa is a good pick. I do think Wissa is a good pick. However, if you're going to have him, I feel like you've got to play him. Even against Spurs, I think that's a good fixture for him. So I would be looking to play him. I'd actually be looking to play him ahead of Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo, I think, will start game week 1, by the way. I think there's a good chance he'll start game week 1, and then Darwin maybe comes in after that. But I think Liverpool are going to kind of switch their forwards about depending on kind of their opponent. So I can see Gakpo playing game week 1, but I would prefer Wissa against Spurs at home. We've got Chilwell here. Fair enough, put him on the bench, but at a certain point we need to start switching him about and having him on the pitch. I want to be playing Chilwell for most game weeks, and therefore we're going to be wasting some players on the bench at some point, but hey, I've seen other people put Chilwell on the bench. I just feel like there's just slightly too much money there. Johnston and Onana, I don't know. Johnston, do you need both? When are we going to play Johnston over Onana, realistically? You probably just want to go for Onana every single game. I'm not a fan of rotating goalkeepers, personally. It's never seems to work. Never seems to work out. So I'd be looking to downgrade Johnston, and I'd be choosing one of Gakpo and Wissa and never both. Probably wouldn't choose Gakpo at all, to be honest. I prefer Darwin. He's got a little bit more attacking quality there. So if I was to change this team, I'm not saying you have to change this team, but if I was to change this team, I would downgrade Johnston because you're never going to play him. So let's just put Areola in there. You don't have to go for Areola if you don't want to, but I'm just going to throw him in there as a 4 million goalkeeper. And then I choose one of Wissa and Gakpo. Fair enough, have Chilwell on the bench if you want to have that one player, but I feel like we can maybe downgrade Wissa to, I don't know, just a 4.5. If you want to go for Gakpo, if you want that guy to, if you're not planning on playing Wissa anyway in a game like Spurs, then there's probably not much point in having him. So maybe have more faith in Gakpo, and in which case you'd go Mubama here. You've got Chilwell on your bench still to cover, which is very nice. You're probably not going to need more than one player to cover. And if you do, you can take the likes of Mubama and Kabore for 1 and 2 pointers. That's all you really need from them. And yeah, I think that pretty much solves that team. I would never pick Saliba over Gabriel, so I changed that. And we've got a little bit of money in the bank now, so we can switch either Eze or March up. March, we're not sure about his injury status right now. Waiting to see that one still. So let's switch him all the way up to a... Who can we get for 8 million-ish in midfield? There are still some options, aren't there? So we could go for maybe a Phil Foden. That could be pretty interesting and fun. Yeah, a couple of changes there. Let's just optimize that for a couple of game weeks, and we'll probably see that the team rating is improved a little bit. So those are the kind of changes I would probably make to this team. Personally, aside from that, I don't like the initial team, but yeah, we've got it up to a 94% rating. Probably get a little bit higher there if we just optimize these game weeks as well. Okay, now we're stuck at 94%. All right, so we've got up 1%. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. I think Gakpo probably lets the team down a little bit. Maybe Luke Shaw is not looking too good with the double. I've just thought Luke Shaw his predicted points are not that high. I feel like I would go single Man United defence. Stones over Shaw, someone says in the chat. Yeah, to be fair, that probably does improve it even more, doesn't it? Let's have a look, see what that does. It improves it a little bit. But yeah, look, with a decent amount of changes, I'm not a fan of money on the bench, like too much money on the bench. Let's do one more team on here. And I've actually got FPL Meerkat's team in here. And the reason why I picked FPL Meerkat out is because, one, he is a fellow FPL content creator. So he does stuff on YouTube, a little bit on Twitter as well. So make sure you go check out FPL Meerkat if you come across him. But also, he's a pretty good FPL manager. So I thought, all right, we've got an opportunity to rate the team of a pretty good FPL manager. I'm not going to make any changes to this team because I appreciate FPL Meerkat knows what he's doing, but I will still give my opinions on it because that's what these streams are all about, really, aren't they? So yeah, here we go. This is Meerkat's team. He has got a tiny bit of money on the bench, which is Brian Mbeumo. But what I find most interesting about this team is that despite the fact we've got no Jesus, we've got no Nkunku, it is still a 3-4-3 team, which is something that we are not seeing very frequently anymore. We're not seeing it very frequently anymore. We're really not. So it's good to see that someone is trying something a little bit different, despite the fact that, we do have this big barrier where a lot of our forward options have been removed from the kind of options. But the one thing I just cannot get my head around is Mbeumo on the bench. If you're not going to play Mbeumo against Spurs, who are you going to play him against? And we can see the predicted points. Puts the Spurs game as predicted points of 5.2. That's actually better than the Fulham Crystal Palace game. In fact, aside from that Bournemouth game and the Everton game, it's the third best opportunity for points over the first 7 game weeks. So if you're not gonna play Mbeumo against Spurs, when are you gonna play him? I would play him ahead of Eze, straight up. But then again, it begs the question: if you're not gonna play Eze against Sheffield United, when are you gonna play him? Or is it just the fact that these guys are just going to be nice backups just in case any of these players gets 0 minutes in a game week? But again, I look through these players. Can you see any of these players getting 0 minutes? Like, I can see Darwin getting, being on the bench occasionally, or Stones on the bench occasionally. Not that Stones makes a difference because obviously he's in the defender slot anyway. But what I can't see is these players staying on the bench. So I don't think there's going to be too much auto-sub issues with this particular team. So, yeah, do we need Eze and Mbeumo? I don't know. Do we really need them both? That's all I would say. And perhaps FPL Meerkat has a really good reason for that. Maybe I should check it to see if he's done a team selection video of his new team. If he's made a video about his team, and maybe he's gone through the reasoning for that, because I'd be quite curious. I don't know if any of you guys in the chat can think of a good reason to have 2 6.5 million midfielders, because I'm assuming that these are the 2 guys that are going to rotate. I mean, you could even, to be fair, play Eze instead of Watkins for that opening game week, because Watkins plays against Newcastle, which is not an easy fixture. And maybe you go for a 3-5-2 for that opening fixture, have Watkins on the bench. But do we really want an 8 million player on the bench? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if I fancy that one. So, yeah, that's the teams that I'm rating on AI. Don't forget, guys, if you want to check out this tool, you want to have full access to this tool, there is still an opportunity to get 50% off your subscription to Fantasy Football Hub. You've only got a week now to get that deal. Sign up now. The link is at the top of the description. 50% off. You get access to this tool and so many others. You get so many tools. You get the OptaStats tool, which I just use all the time. I probably spend about an average of 2 hours a day on the OptaStats tool. Get points predictions, where you just can see who have the highest predicted points in any given game week. You've got the fixture ticker, which is so much better than the official FPL's fixture thing, and you can order things based on attack and defense and everything like that. You just get so much stuff. So much stuff. So you want to be price change predictions as well. There's a lot. There is so much. Honestly, I don't understand why anyone would not have these tools. If you are really serious about FPL, you really just want to dominate FPL, you gotta have it. You gotta have this stuff. But there we go, guys. we're gonna have a look at some other teams shortly. Again, if you want to have your team rated, just try and reply to this tweet that says rating your FPL teams. It's on my Twitter page, and we'll have a look at that shortly. But I do think I want to discuss the forwards a little bit because I think there are some decent forward options that we can go for. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the if I can find it, I'm actually going to use the points prediction tool. We're going to have a look at the forwards. I'm going to look at a game week range of maybe the first 5 fixtures. You kind of want someone to have a good, strong opening fixtures, and then maybe you can look to switch them out after that, and have a look at the predicted points over this period. And what we have is Erling Haaland at the top and Harry Kane in second. That's no surprise there. After that, we've got some players that I think more of us are probably thinking about putting in our teams right now. Wilson, Darwin, Watkins, obviously no Nkunku, Nicholas Jackson there as well, and Wissa is another option that I really like. And I would probably say right now, my favourite options in terms of those Jesus and Nkunku replacements are Darwin, Watkins, Jackson and Wissa. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in a poll and we're going to see which is your favourite. Which is your favourite Jesus / Nkunku replacement. And we're going to put in those guys. So we're going to put Darwin, Watkins, Nicholas Jackson and Wissa. And we'll kind of try and get a vibe. Unless you guys have got any other suggestions, I think those are the top 4, so hopefully we can get an idea at what the community kind of thinks is the best replacement. But I don't know, has anyone got any other ideas? I've seen shouts of João Pedro potentially there. I've seen shouts of João Pedro. You could maybe go for him. I think there is a bit of rotation risk there, and I'm not 100% sure he's FPL material necessarily. He's obviously a really good player, But is he going to be the player who's getting lots of goals and assists? It could definitely happen in that Luton Town game, opening game week, right? But we'll see. So, wow, the votes have started flooding in. Thank you everyone who is getting involved with the voting. It's really nice to see a good response on that nice and early here. We've got 200 plus votes already. And I'll tell you what, this is interesting. I have to say, I did not expect to see this. So Nicholas Jackson is flying out the blocks here. I feel like a lot of people seem to like him. And to be fair, with Nkunku out, maybe that nails on Nicholas Jackson a little bit more. I do like the look of him. I do really like the look of him. I think people are worried about Darwin's minutes and they're worried about Watkins' fixtures. Jackson against Liverpool's high line, I actually do think could do some damage. So I think Jackson is perfectly valid. And we've got Wissa there as well. 7%. So pretty low on Wissa. Obviously, he's a lot cheaper than some of the other replacement guys. So if you are downgrading to Wissa, it probably means upgrading one of your midfielders potentially there, taking them up to another 8 million, 8.5, 9 million midfielder. A few people speaking about Vlahovic as well. If Chelsea sign Vlahovic, then perhaps that changes things a little bit. And that does kill Jackson as an option a little bit there. Which would be a shame because I really like the idea of Jackson. I think he deserves a chance as well. Looked really good in pre-season. Jerkles says, Jackson, best CFC striker I've seen since Didier Drogba. Mad. A few people saying that Nkunku will start game week 1. I wouldn't be so sure about that one. Obviously, we don't know the extent of his injury yet. But remember, we've only got 1 week, just over 1 week until the new Premier League season starts. So I think it's difficult to say that he is definitely going to be available. You know, if there is a problem there, then potentially he doesn't start the first game. We haven't got too long. We really don't have too long till the start of the season. If it was like 2 or 3 weeks away, then I'd probably be backing you. I'd be saying, yeah, Nkunku, good chance of being back. But I don't know. Richard Walker with a super chat here says, I was so disappointed with the result of your team name vote. Shootout result on launch day. Rigged vote. I have my team of Peppa Pig. Richard, it's so good to hear you are still thinking about the FPL team name World Cup, which is one of my favourite things to do every year. Yeah. I mean, Peppa Pig was... you know what? I liked Peppa Pig as well. I liked Nkunku, Kumba, and Peppa Pig. They were the 2 funniest names in my opinion. But it's good to see that you are still repping the Peppa Pig banner. And let's see how they do next season in the Team Name World Cup once again. I think they will have a lot of followers next year. We'll stay tuned for that. We've got a year to go before we need to worry about the next year's vote. Chris W says, any thoughts on Nketiah to spread funds? And yeah, I definitely do want to speak about the Arsenal assets as well. So I feel like let's do that one next. So obviously with Jesus out, you guys are probably thinking about bringing in another Arsenal player, right? You probably still would have triple up on Arsenal, even if you're removing Jesus. My opinion on this one is it's difficult to find an exact replacement for Jesus in terms of another Arsenal striker. And I've seen a lot of ideas going around, particularly on Twitter, that particularly as an Arsenal fan, I am not keen on a lot of the shouts. I'm not keen on them at all. So first of all, with Jesus out, there are 3 potential players that can play. Well, 3.5, like maybe technically 4. There's technically 5 backup options at striker for Arsenal. So if Jesus is out, we could see a like for like in Nketiah. If following Balogun stays at the club, there's a chance he gets a chance. There's a low chance, very low chance of Balogun getting, taking that number 9 position for Arsenal. There's a low chance of that happening. But you've got Nketiah, you've got Balogun who could potentially come in there, but I kind of doubt it. We've got Trossard, as kind of not really a like for like, playing as a bit more of a false 9, who has done a job there previously. Last season, Trossard played a few games there and actually did quite well at times. He was pretty good at times in that position. So Trossard could play there as well. He's listed as a midfielder, obviously, which makes that even more interesting. We've got Kai Havertz, who could play there. And if Kai Havertz goes into the central forward position, that might see Trossard going to the left centre-mid position, or Declan Rice going to the left centre-mid position, with Partey coming in the CDM position. So that could happen as well. So Havertz or Trossard, either one of those could play either as the left 8 or as the central striker. We also could technically see Martinelli in that position as well. So that is a lot of players. Now, a lot of people will sit here and say, well, I think it's going to be Nketiah. I think it's going to be Trossard. I think it's going to be Havertz playing in that position. And I'm sure in the chat right now, there is probably a lot of you guys who are all fully convinced that your pick is right. Well, you can't all be right. That's kind of the problem. And I think even Arsenal fans have been having a look around the Arsenal world today to get some other opinions. And no one has a clue. No one has a clue, which makes things really, really difficult. So we could easily sit here and say, all right, I fancy Nketiah was going to take that place. Well, there's a good chance he doesn't. We could say, I think Trossard's going to take that place. Well, good chance he doesn't. Havertz, good chance he doesn't. You know, there's a lot of options. I think those three are the three main options. Trossard, Havertz, and Nketiah are the three primary players to take Jesus' position in that starting forward three. It's very difficult to give a percentage to each of those players, the likeliness of each of those players to actually take that position. Really, really difficult. So I wouldn't want to call it personally. I think at best, Nketiah has probably got the best chance of taking that position. I would say, but I would still only say he's only got a 40% chance. But I'm sure there's people who would disagree with me there. I see someone in the chat. Nick says, Arsenal supporter here. I say he's 70. Arsenal supporter says he's 70% sure Trossard, false 9. Yeah, I mean, I would never put a number as high as 70% on that one, because Nketiah is obviously one of Arteta's favoured players. I think Arteta does like Nketiah, to be fair. So to say it's 70% Trossard, knowing that Nketiah is a well-known favourite of Arteta, I think that is difficult to put a percentage that high. But for any of those forwards, there is nobody out of those, in my opinion, there is no one out of those Arsenal potential forwards who have more than a 50% chance of starting. And even if they do start the first game, there is nothing to say they'll start the second game or the third. And by game week 4, Jesus is going to be back anyway. So you're forcing yourself to make a transfer. You're going to have to make a transfer by game week 3-4 when Jesus is back. And even before that, you are playing such a game of roulette that there basically is no real benefit to going for any of those guys. So I admire the idea that people are trying to think outside the box a little bit, try and go a little bit different, go for something, try and take advantage of that situation. But it's just it's so difficult to call that, and there's going to be such a limited minutes and such a low chance for any of them to actually play that number 9 position. It's just not worth it, in my opinion. And I will not. I'm telling you right now, even if we see one of them starts in the Community Shield, I would take nothing from that. And I've already seen, some big FPL creators, some top FPL managers suggest that maybe they're going to go for Trossard, maybe they're going to go for Nketiah. Honestly, as an Arsenal fan, I would not touch it. I would not touch that situation at all. If you want to replace Jesus, say you have Saka and Gabriel in your team already, and you want to replace Jesus with another Arsenal player, very, very simple decision for me to go for one of Odegaard or Martinelli. Just pick one of those. Those are safe bets. They're really safe bets. Martinelli is now more nailed on than ever. Already was Arsenal's primary goal threat. Without Jesus in the team, a lot of the goal scoring responsibilities is going to fall on Martinelli's lap. So for me, I was confident about him before. I would say I'm even more confident about him for the start of the season. So my personal pick is Martinelli for that third Arsenal slot. He was already my pick ahead of Jesus, so nothing's changed for me. Still on Martinelli, but I do think there's definitely a conversation to be had about Odegaard. Now, the one interesting thing about Odegaard, to be fair, is the fact that could he be playing if Havertz is playing that left CM? Could Odegaard's defensive responsibilities be increased? We have seen him play a slightly more reserved role for Arsenal in the past, where he can be a bit more of a slightly more deep-lying metronomic player. Not necessarily a defensive player, I'm not saying that at all, but certainly not as in and around the box all the time. You know, I can probably see Havertz being in and around the box a little bit more, and then maybe Ødegaard slightly more distance from the goal, which might potentially reduce his ability to get the points. But yeah, we've got a couple of super chats here. Let's just reply to them quickly. We've got Michael Kunsel says, "Hey mate, pick my team as FPL bro." Honestly, mate, I'm so sorry. I thank you so much for the super chat, but I've got 300 plus replies, probably like 400 replies. Even if I went looking for your team, it would probably take me so long. So I do want to try and keep things fair, keep things random in terms of which teams I'm selecting to have a rate, which we will be doing in a few minutes, by the way, guys. So hold your horses on that one. Mukhtar says, "Can you look at FPL Harry's team?" I don't know. Maybe. Why? Would that be? I don't know. I mean, I could do. It's probably a good team. If I know FPL Harry, it's probably a good team. Where has he posted it? If he's posted it on Twitter, we'll perhaps have a look if someone can let me know about that one. A few more questions about Arsenal here. Someone says, "Is Martinelli going to be worse with Jesus out?" I don't know if that's necessarily going to be true. We saw it for a period. I mean, I'll just show you guys because I may as well. We saw it for a period where actually Trossard was playing as the central striker. We actually saw an improvement from Martinelli. So I think that is a bit of a myth. To be fair, I know we see a lot of myths. We see a lot of myths in the FPL world, and they usually suit an agenda. But in sort of this period here, hopefully you can see where I'm highlighting here. Gabriel Jesus was out for the majority of this period. I don't think he came back till game week 30 or something. Yeah, before that, particularly when Trossard was playing alongside Martinelli, we actually saw Martinelli do really, really well, scoring lots of goals, getting assists as well. So I don't think Jesus is the key to Martinelli's success. Yes, we did see Martinelli do quite well at the start of the season with Trossard in the team, but I don't think he necessarily drops off. I think maybe if he's playing alongside Nketiah, his numbers may drop slightly, but in general, his second half of the season, his numbers were up compared to the first half of the season. His post January numbers, whilst Jesus was out, were actually slightly better than pre. So, one of those myths. I'm going to end the poll, by the way. It seems like you guys like Nicholas Jackson as your Jesus and Nkunku replacement. We have got Watkins and Darwin coming in there. You guys not really liking Wissa, which is interesting. How about that? But yeah, look, if Trossard plays, he's going to be fine. If Nketiah plays, there might be a little bit of a difference there. But look, are we trying to take bets on who's going to play there anyway? I'm certainly not. I'm not betting on that one. So yeah, there we have it. Right, let's go and let's have a look at Twitter. And I do just want to say again, guys, if you do want some free Fantasy Football Fest tickets, just reply to this tweet. I can see a few of you guys would like to go. This guy, Moodsy, does not want to go, which is fine. Moodsy, if you don't want to go, you don't have to, but thanks for replying anyway. So yeah, just reply if you want to go to Fantasy Football Fest. You want a free ticket? Just reply to this tweet, and we'll give them out tomorrow. We'll do a spinny wheel tomorrow. Yeah, I think that's the play. All right, we'll give some of them away. Let's go back to some of your teams. So where did you reply to? You guys replied to this tweet, right? So we can go through some of these teams now. Is that okay on screen there? I think that's pretty good. All right, so we've got FBL Bruno G here. I'm just going because he just so happened to be at the top of the list. Let's just go for this team first. I honestly don't think there's anything to say about this team. This is just the complete 100% template, boring team. Even the bench is, Joe is a bit of a random one on the bench there. Botman is, to be fair, pretty template. Yeah, this is a template team. I have nothing to say of this team. Do you guys have anything to say about this team? It's just a good template team. There's nothing that can possibly be said. Right, we're going to do a random scroll to the next one. We've got Giandre Boats. Hopefully you're in here today, Giandre. I've not seen you in the chat. Oh, yeah, I have seen you in the chat. So you are here. Giandre, you're always here. So there we go. And you've said here, in the chat as well. Dan, I think Wissa can keep up with Darwin, Wilson, Watkins over the first 6 game weeks because of fixes / rotation, and you can do a lot with the money saved. Team improved. And to be honest, Jandre, I kind of agree with you. I feel like you're onto something there. But it's looking like a good team. Flecken is just about cut off at the top of the screen, but we can see Flecken's there. You've got we've got Chilwell on the bench for that Liverpool game. You've got Jandre. I like this team. I think you smashed it, mate. Yeah, nothing in the bank. I don't think that's too much of a problem. I like your rationale with Wissa. I think a good shout, mate. Let's continue. And he's a member. You love to see it. Yeah, it's always nice when we scroll randomly to a team and it's someone that we recognise from the chat. Members, you guys are all goated, of course. We love the members over here. For helping the good fight against the show team gang. So, Matt, you're up next, my friend. Again, pretty template, isn't it? Really template. Nothing to say about that one. Let's keep scrolling. Paladin, again, reasonably template, but we have got some interesting things here. We've got Son and Eze in there, and we've got the Nicholas Jackson shout, which is quite nice. I'm sorry, Nick Jackson. I am for real. Very nice indeed. Jandre flexing that he's been a member for 17 months. Love the dedication. Love that, my friend. So we've got Son, Eze, Jackson there. Slight differentials. Kind of like that, yeah. I think that's probably the way to go. I think that FPL Paladin, I think you've done a reasonably good job there, to be fair. Just like having a base template and then spicing it up with a couple of your own picks, which is quite nice to see. Ginge only down. This is FPL isn't my mate. So not FPL mate, FPL isn't my mate. Hopefully, Ginge only down, you are still my mate. Hard to see how this team is laid out, but it looks like Anderson and Pau Torres rotating, and I like that rotation of 4.5 million defenders. It allows you to spend a bit more up front. We've got a really strong midfield there with Diaby as your 6.5, so a little bit of something different there. We've actually got a triple up on Villa here, which is not something you see very often. So maybe slight differentials there in terms of going for the rotating Anderson and Pau in defence. We've got Diaby as the midfielder. And we got Watkins there as well. Who I think that final forward slot is always going to be slightly differential. Let's keep it moving. We've somehow found the same team again. This is the same guy, but he's put in a different team. You can't have two goes. Omri has got his team here. He's got Steele in goal. Anyone worried about Steele with Verbruggen coming in? Anyone a little bit worried about that one? Don't know, maybe just me. In general, we've got a little bit too much money on the bench here with Chilwell and Diaby and Johnston. All three of those players, if you've got them, you probably want to be playing them. I guess Johnston covers Steele in case that one goes wrong. But I just don't really see the point in doing that. I would just pick one and stick with them. And I'd probably go for Johnston. But maybe the fact that maybe there's a little bit of worry about Steele and Johnston, so that's why they've been paired together. So I'm not going to slate that too much. We've got João Pedro in there. He's a bit of risk there, isn't he? But could do quite well. Yeah, Udogie against Brentford or Chilwell against Liverpool. Maybe Udogie's going to drop to the bench for a lot of games, which is fine. Diaby, yeah, do we need to be spending that much money? One worry is there's no Man United players in this team whatsoever. So maybe we need to have a think about that with this team. Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned. We also have a triple up on Brighton there, yeah. That is going to cause some problems at some point. Yeah, it's interesting. Why does his kits look weird? They're the old kits, aren't they? These are kits from like 3 years ago. So he's obviously not updated his FPL app. Right, let's go to another team and let's have a little look. We already had a look at Tommy's. So we'll go to Mike. Oh, no, Mike? Miles. So Miles has got... Let's have a look at the bench. Yeah, again, Wissa and Chilwell on the bench and Johnson on the bench. We're seeing some very expensive benches recently. You know what? I'm going to talk about that. In my video tomorrow, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about bench players a little bit. Because I think that we're seeing a lot of money on the bench. I feel like a lot of people have lost Jesus and kind of said, all right, let's splash all the Jesus money and buy a bunch and upgrade our bench. You can't get points for players on your bench. When are you going to play these players? When are you going to play Wissa? If you're not going to play Wissa against Spurs, you're probably never going to play him. So there's no point in having him. Chilwell, I understand more if you're starting a 4.5 million defender ahead of him and just going to move that 4.5 million defender to the bench for future game weeks. I kind of understand that one. But I'm not a massive fan of having, 5.5 million defenders and then having Chilwell on the bench there. Not huge on that. I don't hate it necessarily. It's just not really for me. But yeah, lots of money on the bench in a lot of these teams. We've got another team here. We've got Reece James and Wissa on the bench here again. Same kind of argument again. If you're not going to play Wissa against Spurs, when are you going to play him? Like that, this is the time to play him. Like, it's a good fixture. Spurs for Brentford is a good fixture. It's not a bad fixture. For Spurs attackers, it's a good fixture. This one is a little bit more like it. Richarlison could be nice, but only if Kane leaves. If Kane leaves, this is a top-class team. Love it. I love the ambition to go for João Pedro. Certainly. I don't think he's quite for me, but I definitely see the appeal. So I like this team. FPL down the man. Great name and great team. So well done, my friend. MP here. We've got Ferguson on the bench. Again, if you're not going to play Ferguson against Luton, then what is the point in having him? If you're not going to play him in the best possible fixture he will have all season, then you're probably never going to play him, and therefore there's no point in having him in your squad whatsoever. I definitely think that's something to consider. Lewis, we've got a fairly template. We've got Trent here, to be fair. Don't see too much of Trent Alexander-Arnold. So that is interesting. Sanchez is problematic because he's probably the third choice goalkeeper for Brighton at this point. So Lewis, I would definitely 100% be removing Sanchez. But aside from that, it's a strong team. I like it, my friend. I like it a lot. Pias, what you got for me? It's a template team. I don't think I'd go for Mings. I don't know if I'd have... If you're not going to play Wissa against Spurs, then there's no point in having him. So, yeah. Is this a new trend that I've not been made aware of? I can't believe how many teams we're seeing with so much money on the bench. Has Sanchez... Is he... Like, a few people saying Sanchez gone to Chelsea. Is that confirmed now? Is it confirmed? I didn't know that had been confirmed. When did that news come in? And also... Is he going to be starting ahead of Kepa? Or are they going to be competing? Man, I did not know that was confirmed. Let's have a look on... Did Fabrizio announce it? Did we get the here we go? Let's have a look. I'm assuming it was today or maybe yesterday. Because I did not see it. What are you guys saying? 25, today afternoon. Oh, a couple of hours ago. Oh, wow. So that is new. I can't see it on Fabrizio. I can't see a here we go. Or at least I can't see a picture of Sanchez anywhere. Oh, there you go. Chelsea have agreed a fee. Includes long-term deal. Okay, so it's a here we go. So it's a long-term deal verbally agreed. All right. Now, does that mean we're picking Sanchez? I still think I wouldn't go there. Garvidal confirmed as well there. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, Kepa had some good good numbers. Kepa had some good numbers. He actually had some of the best numbers of any goalkeeper in the Premier League last year, which is something like underrated from him. Like I feel like he is an underrated goalkeeper. I think a lot of people give him a lot of stick for a lot of years, but last year he actually did quite well. I had him on my FPL team for a lot of last year as well. Served me very well. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if Sanchez would be a player to go for an FPL quite yet. I feel like a lot of you guys, I don't know about you guys, but usually I like to play my first wild card around game week 8. And I think at that point, we get a good idea of how teams are going to be setting up for the long term, who is part of the future of the club, who has been successfully eased in, etc., etc. If we get to game week 8 and Sanchez is now the regularly starting goalkeeper for Chelsea, I think at that point is when I would start talking about Sanchez. Until then, I feel like I would steer clear just to be safe, you know. Yash, thank you very much for the super chat here. It says, rate my team, Still, Stones, Dunk, Estupinian, Dalot, Saka, Odegaard, Havertz, Rashford, Jota, Haaland. Looks okay. I'm not really too keen on the triple up Brighton defence there, just because fixtures turn bad very, very quickly, and you're gonna have to shift a lot of Brighton players in a short period of time. So you kind of booked yourself some transfers in. Dalot, a little bit risky as well. I think it's an interesting differential, but it's a little bit risky. So I'd make sure I have a bench there to cover that bad boy. I mean, you could definitely afford to, you know, if you just did Dunk to Gabriel or Dalot to Gabriel, I think you solve one of those problems immediately. But you've got Havertz there, which is, I don't know, not huge on that one. Jota as well. Jota's risky, but Jota is high risk, high reward. So I don't hate Jota. I don't love it either. But yeah, in terms of your team, there's a lot of things I'm not too keen on. That, for me personally, not too keen on Steele, not too keen on Dunk, not massive on Dalot, not massive on Havertz, and not massive on Jota. I think it's fine to go for a couple of these risky players, but to have 5 of them in your starting lineup, I think is a little bit too much. So I'd be looking to remove a couple of those players and go a little bit more template for the start of the season. Not completely. You've got to keep that spice in there, but don't let that spice consume you and consume your team. That's all I'm going to say on that bad boy. But thank you for the super chat there. I do appreciate that. But yeah, we're approaching the hour mark, so I think we're pretty much going to leave it right there. But as always, guys, I do appreciate you joining me today. Get your Fantasy Football Hub subscriptions in now before it's too late. You're going to regret it if you don't get it with the good deal. You really are. So yeah, link in the description for that. We'll do this again tomorrow, because tomorrow I want to give away those Fantasy Football Fest tickets. I want to give away those tickets to someone tomorrow. And I want to do a spinny wheel as well to decide who gets them, because spinny wheels are fun. They really are. I haven't done a spinning wheel in so long. I want to give something away. So we're going to do that tomorrow as well. So make sure you check out my Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it, if you want to win some free Fantasy Football Fest tickets. It's all good in the hood. And we'll ask you once again tomorrow for your teams. We'll do some more ratings as well. So look forward to that. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. Turn those notifications on so you know when we're live tomorrow. But I'm going to tell you it's going to be around 6 p.m. But aside from that, yeah, hopefully you're enjoying the content. Plenty more to come. Thank you. And I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.